You're listening to a 4x4 Radio Network podcast.
Hey Jeeples, Kevin here. Welcome to episode 120 of On the Trail with Kevin and Scott. I'm Kevin, the engineer, the guy, as you've heard me say 119 times before, the guy who reads the instructions, uses the right tools, and 99% of the time follows those instructions, unless I have an ulterior motive. And across from me,
Hi, I'm Scott. I'm the slapstick parts guy on a continual mission to try and get through both school, work, life, and also Jeeping at the same time. But as always, as we will always share what worked for us as well as what didn't, it's always up to you to do your research, read the instructions, and please follow them.
please. It usually works better that way.
Only took 119 shows.
Well, folks, we're going to resurrect an older thing that we always used to do. We haven't, well, I hate to say it, almost a year due to a certain bug out of a certain country that has kind of ravaged life and rearranged schedules and rewritten things. But now the world is beginning to return to some semblance of normalcy.
Yeah,
as
sure.
if the Jeep life can be considered normal.
Yeah.
Not sure about that. And that is our public service announcement sections. Yes. And we're going to talk about, real quick, go through the upcoming events. And yes, we have events coming back.
Yes.
Oh, my God. I'm actually excited if you haven't figured that out.
We get to go outside.
We do. And see other Jeeps and interact with other people and get the Jeeps actually, well, I've gotten it muddy, but it's always been solo. And, you know, that's not a good thing to go wheeling solo.
No.
So,
Not unless you have a Wookiee next to you.
Yep. Well, first off, coming up here very, very soon, since this is released on the 1st of July, and in 3 more days, it will be July 4th.
Yeah, so please be careful with your fireworks. We want everyone to have the same eyes and fingers as they started with.
Yes, and other body parts associated. And, you know, I know it sounds like it'd be really cool to launch a firecracker out of the exhaust pipe of your Jeep, but let's not do that, because it may not actually leave, in which case well, would you even notice another backfire in the pipe? Probably not. It is a Jeep after all. But somebody behind you might get it in the grill.
Yeah.
That'd be a horrible thing. And they might get it hit in the eye. But
some people need to leave the fireworks to the professionals.
Yeah, that's probably most of us. So be careful, but do enjoy the 4th. And remember that it does signify the fact that we became our own country at this time. And here's a question for you. What do our British listeners consider us? Successful terrorists?
I know. I think they basically, what was the one thing? Happy Treason Day, you ingrates, or whatever it is.
Yes, exactly. Happy Treason Day.
You ungrateful colonists. That's what it was. Happy Treason Day, you ungrateful colonists.
Well, that works too. Works too. But still, we wouldn't be who we are if we didn't start off on the right foot. And hats off to our cousins in Australia. As a friend of mine reminded me one time, there were 3 of us together, and this is a serious occurrence. A friend of mine from England, a military officer, a friend of mine from Australia, and myself were there enjoying a cold beverage, and my Australian friend looked over at us, and he says, I understand why we all get together so well. I said, why is that? He said, well, you and I, we're the trash of England. You guys were just the quick ones that go away. I said, okay.
There goes our 8 downloads in England this week.
No. Yeah, I think it's they wouldn't want us. We're the kind of the child that you encourage to move out of the house.
Yeah. Oh, look, there's a cookie in the doorstep. Go get it.
Yes.
I do actually have to do a quick statement.
Yeah.
On that note, go ahead with your next announcement while I look this up.
Oh, okay. Well, what I was going to start off with is obviously have a good and safe 4th. Keep yourself and your kids and your family safe. Enjoy it. Remember what it's for. That the freedoms and the freedom to use your Jeep and go where you want was here because a lot of people paid the ultimate price.
And also to pets. If you have pets that are kind of iffy with fireworks and stuff like that, kind of just go ahead and make sure they're crowded in for the night, because too many lost dogs stories on the 4th of July.
Yeah, because they disappear. On from that, we're going to kind of go in order of when they occur. As we mentioned on the last show, Sheriff's Jeep Fest, Pickens County, Georgia.
Yep.
Coming up September 2 through 5th. Awesome event. Love it dearly. Missed it last year. Can't wait to go this year. Scott and I will both be there along with our financial department. They are both coming, and so we will be out and about. If you want to catch up with us, feel free to flag us down. Slightly Altered will be there, as well as you're bringing the new beast, right?
Yeah, we're bringing the Gladiator.
You're bringing the You haven't named it yet.
Well, we have a couple of names in the idea.
Still have to develop the personality.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but yeah, we will all be there during the event. Pretty much as participants. We might squeak out a show or something like that if we feel like it. But, we're going up to have fun because like you all, we're starving for off-road attention.
Yes.
So again, that's the September,
it's Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
What I'm doing here is trying to get myself up for the correct screen. Sheriff's Jeep Fest registration
2nd.
is, yeah.
Yep.
It started June 1st, so you're 30 days behind. Get registered. It's an awesome place. There is camping in the area. There is lodging in the area. There's also some videos, some mapping to tell you where it is. And again, the Jeep Fest raises money for charities, caring for kids. That's really what the whole point of it is. And there will be vendors there. It's a great event. If you're in southeastern United States and are willing to make a little trip to the northern, I guess that's the northwest side corner of Georgia.
Yeah, it's worth it.
It's worth it. It is absolutely worth it. The next one that's coming up after that we're aware of is Crawling for the Fallen.
Yes.
There's our little...
Yeah, there's Chrissy.
There's Chrissy on the page. Crawling for the Fallen. By the way, I'm sorry. On the Jeep Fest, you can get information from www.sheriffs, with an S, Jeep Fest, all one word, .com. And you can look up all the information you want on Sheriff's Jeep Fest.
Correct.
Crawling for the Fallen is going to happen November 12th through the 14th.
Yes, and all proceeds also benefit the COPS, which is Concerns of Police Survivors.
Correct. And so it is, registration has opened. Just opened recently, and tickets are going to be available at the gate if they don't sell out online.
Correct.
So, if you're going, you might want to get your tickets. They are having their usual. A Jeep has been donated to be built by a consortium of different individuals and suppliers and vendors. This year, Scott's drooling over it. It is a white 2006 LJ.
Yes.
So there will be an LJ in a raffle system. Again, registration's open. You want to learn more. It is Crawling that's with a K, Crawling for the Fallen, and Fallen is Fallen on Facebook.
And you can also Off-Road United would be their Facebook or
their host is offroadunited.com. So you can check them out either place. A lot of pictures on the Facebook and a lot of feedback from people that have been prior years. Chrissy and the crew just throw an absolute awesome event. More than awesome. It's it'll heart-rend you a little bit.
Yeah, we've been asked to do the names again.
To do the names
This will be
again.
the third year of us doing the names.
So definitely check that out. And then the last one is a relatively new event. It happened last year, but this is its second time, and it's gotten even better.
Yep.
And it's the Florida Trail Team Challenge. It's a sporting event. It's limited, folks, very limited. It's only 20 teams can compete. This is one of those multi-skill off-road events. It's being hosted here in Florida. It's sponsored by all kinds of folks. Bunker Depot.
Bumper. They got me say it.
Bunker
Yes.
Depot.
Correct.
Boy, they picked that name so it's hard to pronounce in a hurry.
They did. And actually, it's Mark Lawson from the Jeep Lab, a OTT podcast alumni, helping with that.
Right, helping with that. Then there's also Drive Shaft Specialists. They've been on the show. Gear America, Red Scorpion Fab Works. The the old Florida Jeep and Off-Road, as well as Mark's thing, the Jeep Lad. And this year, Tread Lightly is involved in it. And you're going to have, if you get your team together, you're going to have recovery challenges. You're going to have marksmanship challenges. You're going to have first aid challenges. Driving challenges, teamwork, challenges. And it's a multi-day event. It runs from March 11th through the 13th in 2021. But because only 20 teams, and you got to get your teams together and then get registered, they are starting. Registration is now open for that event as well.
Right.
And it is a big, big, big event as far as kind of one of those sport challenges to get out there and prove your mettle off-road. More than just wheeling, it's a whole roundabout thing. So, pick your team carefully. And we're going to get more on that. In fact, we've talked with Mark Lawson of the Jeep Lab, one of the key coordinators for this, and we're going to get him on a show here not too long from now, and he can go into details on the show. But we also didn't want you to miss out a chance to get your team together. So if you go to Florida Trail Team Challenge, kind of all run together or individually on Facebook, you can pull it up and you can see all about the event. You can get pictures from prior years, discussions post event last time. And from what we told, we were not there. I was not. And it was a rousing success.
You learn a lot about yourself, your team, your vehicle, your rig, and your capabilities. So it's actually some kind of way to give these situations you probably won't, hopefully not be in, but give you a chance to really test your skill and see where you're at.
So each team is just 2 people. I didn't mention that before. You got to understand that's a 2-person team. So, you really, one of you should know how to shoot, and one of you should know how to medicate and bandage, and as well as both of you should drive. Both of you should be problem solvers, and then dang good wheelers. So one of you better be a good wheel guy, and the other one should be a good, spotter or gal. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, there's a couple of husband and wife teams.
Yeah, they are. So it is an incredible event. Everybody that went last year and participated had a blast. And last but not least, if you don't feel like participating but want to volunteer to support, it's going to take as many people. You're going to have 40 competitors. It takes at least 40 or more to run the event, and they're always looking for volunteers in the support side as well. And you can reach out through the Facebook page and say, hey, I live it. It's going to be in North Central Florida at, let's see, where was that, Scott?
I think it was the Old Florida Jeep and Off-Road. Tavares.
Old in Tavares. So Old Florida Jeep and Off-Road site is the main event. And if you look on the Facebook page and roll down a little bit, you'll find them in there. And there's some challenges they said will take you outside the property. So it's not all internal. It's kind of funny. They say, you got plenty of time before the event. All you need, we might suggest you read this, which is the Four Wheelers Bible, which is out by Motor Books Workshop. And something tells me, hint, that may be used as a basis for some of the challenge elements. So the Marksman Challenge looks awesome.
They say don't bring firearms.
Don't bring your own. We'll talk more into that, but do not bring your own weapons. The weapons and ammunition are being provided by Bunker Depot LLC, the people I couldn't pronounce earlier. So now, it didn't happen last year. It happened in 2019, and then COVID kind of shut it down for 2020. So they're coming back rare and strong. Really happy to see that Tread Lightly is joining in. In fact, they've made it clear that all competitors are required to take and pass the Tread Lightly 101 course before the event. So that's be made clear. So we'll get Mark on here. We'll go into the details on a very not too distant show. I think it's going to be a wild event, and Scott and I are trying to figure out if we can weasel our way in there. Not necessarily as competitors, Although that would be fun, but maybe as some of the volunteers, and it'd be fun, and we'll let you know if we get there. Again, check us out. We'll be available to chat with people. Maybe we're actually throwing an idea of maybe doing a live stream.
Yeah, if you have any questions, on the trail podcast at gmail.com, and we can try and answer and or forward to the correct people.
Yeah, that would do it. And let's see, on a local level for us, nothing's really changed. Jeep's still going. It's hot. It's rainy and wet.
Still haven't finished the wrap on my Jeep so far.
No, but you got a good start on it. And my passenger's doorstep, the thorn in my side, has ever since, and I'm embarrassed to say, but Scott noticed the machining flaw, and we dressed it up the last time I talked about it, which has been now 3 months ago, and we are out here in 90 to 96 degree weather, and it hasn't stuck yet.
Cool.
So far, so good. It's got to go a full year before I will say it's fixed. So
hey, we got nothing but time, right?
Well, speak for yourself. I'm getting old.
Oh, stop it. Hey, so I don't know. I'm just, hey, by the time this show comes out, we will have reached another milestone.
We will?
In downloads. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, we are very well established, and
thanks to our listeners.
Yeah, and not many shows make this milestone. So thank you very much for all the reviews and all the downloads and sharing. Thank you very much. That means a lot to Kevin and I.
Yeah, it does. Otherwise, we wouldn't put up with this equipment and stuff on our heads. We'd be out wheeling.
Exactly. Well,
so anyway, Scott, you have been chewing my ear for weeks. And for me, it's been non-Jeep related busy weeks. As I mentioned before, we're building a new home, got a great builder, absolutely fantastic, but it's still building a new home. It's a lot of work, a lot of coordination. And it is supposedly to be our forever home, and a new in the garage barn is being, so it might move from in the garage segment with Kevin to in the barn.
Moo.
No, it'll still be vroom, clunk, ow. He's been dying for a chance.
Sorry, I had to do the cow noise. That joke was high stakes.
It wasn't funny
now
when you said it last time. Oh, ever since Father's Day, he's been running around doing bad dad jokes.
Yeah, I'm only an Aussie dad.
Yeah, well, that still counts.
Exactly.
I've seen the amount of effort you guys put into taking care of the Aussie.
No. Fur ahoy.
Yeah.
Fur ahoy.
Folks, I have to share one thing on that. They came over here, I guess it's almost been 2 years ago, and brought the dog, and he went for a swim, and we were teaching him to actually dive. You remember that? He was swimming with his head up, and we finally worked him down the steps and everything. And then after they went home and I walked out, and the pool pump was going, and I was like, what's going on out there? And I was looking, the filter and the strainer were full of fur. I'm like, is your dog any skinnier? And like, no, he's actually fluffier than usual. I said, okay, what do you want me to do with the leftovers? Actually, I took all of the leftover fur, and it had balled together in rather neat little packets, and just threw it out on the lawn. And the next morning, virtually every hair was gone. And so there were a bunch of birds and squirrels that had the coziest nests that they'd ever had. Courtesy of Gunner the Trail Dog.
Exactly.
So, anyhow.
Well, we brushed about it a little bit ago.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Okay. Well, this is going to be one of those things, if you've been on any kind of automotive forum, any kind of like either hot rods or whatever, you'll notice, the two things you're going to see about is A, which we may get onto later on when we have more time to break down and water down the information, is the RPM max. So if you have any questions about that, please email us.
Yep.
The other thing is battery cars, like Teslas and stuff like that. If you're into I'm on this one page, I'm tired of respecting all builds, and it's kind of a troll page, and it's funny just to watch because everyone picks on everyone and there's no sacred cows. Wow, I did another cow joke.
Yeah.
2 in a show. But everyone always, batteries are one of those very polarizing topics. Either you love the battery cars or you hate the battery cars. Or when I say that, I mean complete electric vehicles.
Yeah.
And recently, Jeep has come out with the 4xe.
Yep.
And, everyone has their own opinions on it. As we said last show about, the Jeep world is changing. It's evolving. If again, some people love it, the early adopters, and they embrace that new technology. Some people, like myself, I went forward and then backwards. Got the JK, then we got the LJ, and then we waited a couple of years for most of the bugs to be figured out on the JL, and then we got the Gladiator. So we're kind of that hybrid of early adopter and loving old technology. So when the 4xe came out, I'm like, I want to take a look at this.
Okay.
Because Jeep is investing heavily in charging stations.
Yep.
Out in Moab, because it will go 24 or 25 miles on it.
So is it the 3-arm cactus that has the plug in it, or the 2-arm?
I think the 2. But it depends. Is it a 3-prong plug-in or 2? Anywho, sorry, folks, you got me back. I deserve it every bit. But the wife and I, we were at an RV show, and a gentleman had one. And I said, hey, how do you like it? He goes, well, there's some really cool things about this thing. I looked at it, it's a typical, it was a Rubicon. They come in the Rubicon, High Altitude, and Sahara. I think the 4xes come in. And they start at $49,000. They are not cheap. You're not buying the $33,000 base model one, for obvious reasons. You're paying for technology. But again, a 4-cylinder hybrid, battery pack, plug-in, the whole 9 yards. And I'm kind of on the fence. I think it's a really neat idea. I'm glad to see Jeep is progressing with technology. Now, before our inbox gets exploded with, stupid Fiat jokes, again, progression, good or bad, sometimes needs to be made forward. Everyone loves the 4-door. The 4-door saved Jeep.
Yeah.
So this is a natural progression in my eyes of the world is changing to battery cars. Is it the answer? I don't think anybody really knows yet. But I think it's a neat idea. I think it's an interesting step. I think it's a step in the right direction, so we can see if this technology is even viable in an off-road situation. It's got its plus and minuses. I'm worried about the price point. That kind of scares me because other kinds.
Yeah, but look around. All price points have shot up. Okay, there are factors beyond the power plant that have driven prices up from impacts.
Excuse me.
Oh yeah, what are you drinking? Labor rates, instability in the world, even COVID had its impacts. Shipping costs.
That's a political show that we're not.
It's going to be the new norm, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion. And it's interesting. I'll be the first one. I told Scott when he said, let's talk about the new Jeep, the electric Jeep. And I said, I haven't had a chance to really dig into it. As I mentioned earlier, I have been somewhat sidetracked with fixing things and building things and repairing other things. So, but regardless, we started chatting. We realized we had a topic here because it really doesn't matter what I want to say. It doesn't matter that it's a Jeep or not a Jeep. It is technology that's coming. Mm-hmm. It is probably, in my opinion, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm concerned on reliability,
right?
But I think it's the right move in the right direction. And I know that's probably going to upset a lot of people, but from a technical point of view, let's start talking just a little bit. And we had this interesting diatribe that kicked off before we started, and Scott knows where I'm going with it right now. I want to pull something up here on me for the folks that are watching, and that is we all chase a funny little number. It's called horsepower.
Can I byline real quick?
Yes.
Because one of the guy had made a comment that the 4xe is one of the most powerful
that's
Jeeps
what started
in the market, and I even looked at him and said, even more than the 392. Right? He goes, yes, the numbers and all this, and he started dazzling me with numbers. And again, he's a salesperson. Let's be honest. And I said, well, it makes sense because I know battery vehicles have torque on demand practically. But, so that got Kevin to thinking about what he's going to go into.
Yeah. It boils down to the fact horsepower is one of those terms that just, as an engineer, drives me around the bend. Honestly, folks, and I know everybody chases it and all that kind of stuff, but it's virtually a useless number for us. It's a sales gimmick. All right. It was invented by James Watt. And for those of you who don't know who James Watt was, he is the father of the high efficiency steam engine. Not the steam engine itself, but making it work the best. He came up with some technologies and some changes to it that took it from a interesting curiosity to a serious power plant for draining mines, getting water out of the mines, particularly in England, where flooding was an issue. And you had to lift the water, either with a piston pump or by bucket, to get out, because you were down below any chance of draining with gravity. So he needed a way to compare his steam engine to everybody else's. Well, other people were lifting out water manually with a horse or a donkey or something like that.
Beast of burden.
With a beast of burden. So he went out and he measured a bunch of things that horses could lift, and it varied, were you talking a Clydesdale or were you talking a frickin' Shetland pony?
Yeah.
But he averaged them out, and he said, well, the average horse can lift 550 pounds, 1 foot, in 1 second. Okay?
Yeah.
Welcome to horsepower. That is the basis for horsepower. Tell me what the relevance is picking up 550 pounds vertically in 1 second, 1 foot to getting a car down the road.
Well, that's because of the aerodynamic coefficient of the drag, allowing the baseball card to. I have no idea.
The truth is, folks, it will play into top speed. You can equate that. I said, I'm sorry. But the whole idea there is, it is a measurement of power, but how you apply the power is what you're interested in. Now, there is a measurement out there that we use, and we in the Jeep world tend to know it better than most other vehicles. Horsepower is great for high-end, for top speeds, for rev to the max kind of calculations. But beyond that, it really doesn't help us in the area that we in the Jeep world want. We want to climb over things. We want to get through mucky things that stick the Jeep to the ground. We want to move forward under adverse conditions. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much what a Jeep does.
Right.
Throw something in its way. I want to climb over it, go through it. I really don't want to go around it. Okay?
Or under it.
Yeah, or under it. All right. And that is how hard am I twisting those tires? All right.
Okay.
Folks, that's torque. Simple torque. How many pounds at a foot lever? How many newtons at a meter lever? That is torque. Same torque you use to tighten the bolts with a torque wrench, okay? That's what moves a Jeep in the world that we want it to run in. We are not looking at horsepower, which is something an Indy car would really want to know, because he doesn't want to run out of horsepower at the top end because he's moving faster and faster and faster. So he's interested in, this power RPM combination. We're not really in a race here.
Yeah.
So I tend to look at torque. Why does this whole diatribe have, why is it germane to this discussion? Very, very simple. A gasoline-fired motor, a diesel-fired motor, even a turbine, okay, combustion motors at 0 RPM produce 0 torque. Electric motors, on the other hand, can produce 100% rated torque at 0 RPM. You invert the torque curve. We in the Jeep world, for using our Jeep for maneuvering, want a lot of torque at low RPMs to no RPMs. And that's exactly where electric motors work best.
Right.
So why hadn't every Jeep electric since day one? Believe me, it was tried. The problem is what's called energy density. Gasoline has a very large amount of energy per cubic foot or per pound, however you choose to measure it.
Right.
Battery technology hasn't been there, not even close. When you took the energy density, so many if you put everything in kilowatts, and by the way, there is a conversion for horsepower and other things to kilowatts and back again. You can put everything in kilowatts or watts and compare them. And you find that batteries are wimps or were wimps.
Right.
You know, Tesla, even some of the other companies, Toyota, Honda, General Motors, Ford,
the EV1.
They are all in the energy density war. And once the energy density of your storage device gets up to the same energy density of a gallon of gas, that doesn't spell good news for the gas world.
Yeah.
So you can make your arguments over, well, charging the batteries causes as much pollution as burning the fuels. And I'm not going to say you're right or you're wrong. I'm going to say for you and me, though, high energy density in electric vehicle means torque on demand. And so is the new Jeep, the electric hybrid, it's technically a hybrid. It does have a 4-cylinder turbo.
Turbocharge, yeah.
You know, I haven't had a chance to even go up and see one and touch one in life. I'm going to do that soon, though. But is electric motor a good thing? I will cautiously say it can be. How are the motors installed? Is it waterproofed? Considering the way we use our Jeeps, if the motor's down low, which should be for CG, and you drop it on a rock, does it keep running or quit? You know, let's be honest. I don't know about your Jeep, but my oil pan looks a little bit more like a 6-year-old kid was handed a hammer and said, "Go have fun." Ding, 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 ding. You know, same thing with the transmission. Till I put the auxiliary skid plate that Jeep made for mine so that I'd stop. You know, we tend to abuse our Jeeps. We expect that any given point should support the entire weight of the Jeep, you know, on a point, and still keep running.
Yeah. I still got it. To give up? No, I still got it.
I got it. How many times have we seen a Jeep teetering on a rock?
Yeah.
You know, and we all go, "Oh, go, 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 go. You got it.
As everyone brings their phone out.
Yes. Well, you know, good YouTube's worth it.
Exactly. You know, it's all fun and games till YouTube video.
The question there is, of course, is the electric motor in the Jeep, the new Jeep, to that level of rugged or not? Or is it as slim and light and easy, you know, as possible? So I think the technology is getting close, and I think it's going to be a good thing. I do like the hybrid side because right now we were joking about, the charging stations in Moab.
Yeah.
What are the odds you're going to run your battery flat next to a charging station?
Oh, it happens all the time.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing with, right now we can throw a jerry can on the back and carry an extra 5 or 10 gallons of fuel that maybe we can get back out with. I can see us now. Are we going to have, what are those, the Rotopacks?
I got 11 AA's. Will that do it?
Exactly. You're going to take, and a hybrid has the advantage of, believe it or not, folks, in most cases, depending on how they're designed, and I don't know the Jeeps yet, you can actually put the vehicle in park, start the engine, and it will recharge the battery on its own. Not as efficiently as plugging it in, but at least it might get you home. So, you know, at the moment, I have this vision, and I'm sorry, I've had this vision ever since hybrid vehicles started coming out, was I see the electric vehicles running along Tesla. Let's say not the hybrids, the all electrics. And you could just see this, let's say a Tesla Model S cruising down the road with a little trailer behind it and a portable generator in it and a gas tank, because kind of defeats the purpose. But, you know, we've gotten spoiled with range, if you haven't noticed that. And I think, and this is just my personal opinion, that once the EV vehicle's range breaks the 300 mile barrier, and they are close right now, and I'm talking an honest 300, not, you know,
AC off in a lab conditions,
and it's rolling downhill half the time, you know. But the honest to God, you and me driving it to, you know, the shopping center and to the grocery store and
Charging
to work
yourself
and back, and, you know,
AC's on,
and you get it to the point that you can get 300 miles true in real life, and then you're going to have something. And we're so close now. That's why Tesla and all the makers are building all these great EV vehicles. We just have to see them take the EV technology and toughen it up.
And that's the key, because one of the articles I had to write for college just recently, last semester, was on EV vehicles. Are they the answer? Are they the future? And I had to do pros and cons. Mm-hmm. So when you just talked about an honest 300 range, one of the biggest problems they're having with EV vehicles is the fact that the temperature gets to around 32 degrees outside.
And the range goes
to half.
Yeah.
Okay, now you have situations where people are losing power because of ice storms. Mm-hmm. Now, okay, well, but so do you have a solar? Okay, well, the solar panels are iced over.
Yep.
So the drivability is severely impacted by ambient temperatures.
Yeah.
We're here in Florida. Yeah, we're here in Florida. It is hot. Battery is also affected by heat too. Mm-hmm. So your range will be affected. And a lot of times I can hear it now being typed in. It costs so much to replace a battery. It does.
But it costs a lot to replace a power plant grab your Jeep, and blow the engine up. Ask the guys who replace the engine, because it's not the electric motor that's really the engine in an EV vehicle.
It's the battery.
It's the battery pack.
Yeah. And I can tell you right now, because I sell them on a regular basis, the CT hybrid Lexus.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a small little hatchback hybrid. They have not made that car in a handful of years. Mm-hmm. People are regularly dumping $7,000 for the battery in it.
Okay.
Their batteries are readily available, and the car itself will last almost indefinitely because of the technology done into the vehicle. Now,
well, look at Bob's Jeep that we talked about the last two shows, the LS into the YJ. His package to put in the drivetrain was $14,000.
Yeah.
Now, granted, that included transmission. Oh, gee, you don't need that in an electric vehicle.
Yeah.
So, you're telling me it's $7,000 to replace the battery pack, and if everything else runs, that's not abnormal in maintenance, in what we call long-term vehicle maintenance. Yeah. We're very conditioned right now. Oh, well, I can rebuild that.
Yeah.
And the electric motor is this mystery thing full of, little copper snakes shoved into steel plates and bearings at each end. And by some angry pixie gnome makes it spin around.
Right.
It's rebuildable too. There's whole shops that do starters and alternators, and guess what? The electric motors are just bigger versions of that.
Well, the one Achilles heel to these batteries that actually just popped in my head as we're talking is we actually had a guest have an issue with the battery, and they did have to replace it. Because there are blower motors. There's 3 blower motors that sit behind the seat that blow cool air to cool the battery.
Cool the batteries.
Well, they shoved the car so full of plastic bags and junk.
They got sucked into the fan?
Sucked into the fans, and then they couldn't cool the battery, so the battery itself failed. And that was a expensive mistake.
Yes.
So now I kind of think, onto your term about the survivability of these things. Now, that dust, are they going to put filters?
Dust, mud. What about when you swim the vehicle? Those of us right now, I mean, I've done it with mine. That I've had the doors off and the creek was a little deeper than I thought I was crossing, and more like a river. And I had flow through foot wash from one door out the other. And, we understand that we've done that. So at the what I call the after event, we have a fuel fluids changing party. Right. Well, is the battery system going to be the same way? Are we going to be able to go in and go, okay, we dunked our EV. I need to go change the gel pack, the filter, and,
I got to replace the black smoke that came out.
Well, but you laugh, but that's exactly what we do now. Yeah. It's the shift in mentality over what we're doing. It does boil down, though, as we talked about, to the very starting point. Is the new Jeep's power system as robust and reliable as the old iron and aluminum? It's hard to think of aluminum as old, but that was the thing, and that's part of the mystique to me. This is where my concern lies, and part of the Jeep's mystique is the fact that you can go out there and thrash the ever-loving bleep, 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 so you don't have to, out of it, and it'll bring you home.
Right.
Even the more modern gasoline versions are beginning to develop. A lot of people had a naysay on the V6s, but they're starting to show their ability to bring you home. Do they have problems? Yeah.
Yep.
But now that the world has become used to that, there's fixes. and they bring you home. The electrics, do I think it's the new future? Yes, but it's got to go through the same teething pains of, all right, it's out there. We have the range. The batteries will go 300 miles in a Jeep. Great. That's wonderful, but don't get them wet. Okay, you're not there yet, kind of you know what I'm saying? And then wait till the people start hacking, because right now I've followed some of the forums with people that are taking Tesla battery packs out of wrecked cars and Tesla motors. There's a guy out there converting, an early model Rolls Royce to a Tesla drivetrain.
Nice.
So the hackers, like myself, and I say that proudly, not negatively, are out there going, okay, I'm going to be an early adopter of the new technology in the retro version.
In my own way.
So they're looking at, okay, Teslas have gotten out there to the point we got some wrecks and we got some worn out ones. And look at this. I scored a battery pack or 3 battery packs, and I'm able to take 2 and make 1. Folks, this is the same thing we've been doing for generations on the mechanical Jeeps. And we're going to see that coming. And then if the industry doesn't figure it out, somebody in a garage is going to figure out how to waterproof the motor so that it survives an underwater. If you guys know from the, is it Four Wheeler magazine? Tube Sock, the TJ that they made and drove underwater.
I don't. Yeah, with the 2.8 Cummins.
Yeah, with the intake system. We're going to see somebody do that with an electric motor. I don't know how long it'll be, but somebody will go, this is my challenge.
Well, there was actually a guy in California when the GM canceled the EV1 program. Those are all leases. And that's one thing that kind of scares me, because when I looked on, because of course I want to build. I'm going to go look and see if I can build one of these 4XEs. There was only an option to lease now on the internet. Now, I Googled real quickly, can you buy or have to lease only? It was very, very vague. So I think you can only lease the 4XEs. And again, right now at this recording, that's what it is. But anyways, back to the EV1 story. General Motors only leased the EV1s. And people love those cars. You're talking lead acid batteries, man. Yep. Car no bigger than the size of an Insight. And of course, they got them all back and they crushed them, got rid of all of them. But one guy was so, I guess, driven by what they did. He literally found a true, Junkyard Wars, that old TV show style, was buying those old Fiat the Italian convertibles, the Fiat 124, where almost looked like an MG, but kind of had that aerodynamic nose. Yep. And he would have the 8 lead acid batteries and the motor that just spun the transmission, and he was converting those cars to electric. He only got like 100-mile range out of them.
That's actually good in the early days.
But he was driven by that and the experience of owning that car. He started his own business doing that. Now, I have no idea if he's still in business. This was like the early 2000s when I saw this show on it. But it's interesting how you talked about early adopters in their own way.
Yeah, and early adopters drive technology.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones, early adopters are willing to be the guinea pigs. And that's the thing that most mainstream buyers are not.
Yeah.
Well, no, it doesn't work. I'm not going to buy it. I want to wait till I've seen the bugs worked out. But in many cases, you go back into the 60s, the first early adopters of a lot of the sports cars, shall we call them, or muscle cars, actually got the highest horsepower engines.
Yeah, because they had to deprogram it because people were wrapping themselves around telephone poles.
So, you get some of those originals and, it was published at 212 horsepower and it was...
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. It's, 400 plus, kind of a thing. So anyway, is the new Jeep EV a good idea or a bad idea? You guys tell us what you think. I'd be interested to hear your side. I think it's a natural progression. I think it has the potential to be a industry leading step. There are the bad sides. I mean, right now, going back to the comment on Moab, you run out of gas in the middle of Hell's Kitchen. You're out of gas. Yeah. You're not going anywhere. So really, is running out of a battery charge any different? Not really.
No.
Can you bring a gallon of battery back and fill it back up to get you off the trail? Well, theoretically, yes, you can.
Right.
you can bring a small generator with you and a jerry can, and will it fill the battery like filling a gas tank? No, but neither will a jerry can fill your Jeep's gas tank. So there are ways around it. It's just going to take us as the off-road community a little bit of a mental shift to, alternate fuels. Mm-hmm. I think you're going to find, and this is, I guess, where I'm taking this whole diatribe, wait until you see the first rock bouncing event with a battery-powered Jeep.
Yeah.
Because that 0 RPM, 100% torque is going to make an immense difference in the trailability of a vehicle. If you do not have to rev the engine and slip the clutch or dump the clutch, heaven forbid, or go through torque multiplication of an automatic transmission, you just basically push the pedal and you have 100% torque at any RPM. Think about rock climbing. Think about gravel hills. Think about all of those places where you don't necessarily need to rev the engine up to red line to get the horsepower to get through. That's going to change the game.
No, that is. And I can see some people like the thrill of all the noise.
Sure.
And whatnot. And they say, you got to be a purist. You got to have that engine and all that technology. And
I do miss that. I love the roar of a deep-throated engine. I don't care if it's a 6 with it, even a 4. A 4 has a raspy kind of note to me that screams defiance. I don't care if I've only got 4 cylinders, I'm going.
Yeah.
And the 6 is probably, I'll be honest, in my book, one of the most harmonious there. The power pulses are just chained together perfectly. Mm-hmm. And then you get the V8, and the V8 is just raw beast.
It's just chaos.
It's just chaos incarnate coming through a header set and out the side pipes. Yeah.
Turning gas into noise.
Yep. And they're awesome. They're absolutely awesome. Although you get some of those bigger ones, the V10s, yeah. Or even if you guys ever get a chance to go to a fly-in or an event where you can hear a Rolls-Royce Merlin engine, a V12, or even the double Wasp radial engine that's 18 cylinders. When you start to get that exhaust overlap to where 2 cylinders have fired in close succession, and their exhaust pulses literally overlap each other, it's a totally different chest vibrating. Just I love it.
And this is one thing I'm gonna circle back,
yeah.
Because one of the coworkers, I made a comment about the 4XE, and he's like, that's just stupid. Why would they come out with that? They need to be a purist, blah blah blah. The whole 9 yards. Conversation we just had a second ago.
Yep.
And I said, so you're against air conditioning in cars? Well, I didn't say that. Well, to move forward, you got to take that leap of faith.
Mm-hmm.
So you're against having electricity in your house. Well, you're just taking am I?
Yeah.
Am I really boiling it down? Now, people are scared of the unknown. Like you said, they can't take it apart. They can't fix it. They don't understand
right
how
now
it works.
They can't.
Right now. But people didn't know how the V6s were going to take to fiddling and fixing and all that. And all of a sudden, I can do that engine. I can do that oil cooler. That's a problem on the 3.6s.
Yep.
I can knock that out in 2 hours. I'm sure the first one didn't take 2 hours.
2 days, 3 days. And that's it. I think it's one of those technological shifts. I think it's inevitable, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. The electric motor offers a lot. It's no more dangerous or fragile than the gas motor. You break a gas motor, it catches fire and does nasty things. It can kill you, coming to pieces. It launches projectiles. Go to any drag strip and watch them pop a blower off. And that's why the NHRA required all the blankets over clutches and blowers to keep the shrouds out of the shrapnel
out of the
crowds.
crowds.
But once we become comfortable with it, the good thing about electricity is it's when it's off, it's off. The wire's perfectly inert when you touch it when it's off, unless you got capacitors in the system, and you really don't. It's the fact, I think, a couple of things. One, we can see gasoline. We can smell gasoline. We know from heat if it's burning. Electricity, you look at a wire, and if there's 600 volts in it or no volts in it, the wire looks identical.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. I think there's an inherent fear of what I cannot see remotely.
Fear them.
On the other hand, there's a neat little tool. It costs about $10, and you wave it in the general vicinity of power, and it goes. I have about 4 of those for working around houses and other things like that.
Wise decision.
It's not perfect for DC current, but for AC, which is what most automotive batteries go through an inverter and create AC current for the motor, because that's the way to make the motor efficient. Yeah. You got AC, so yeah, you can have the little tester, and it's really no different than the sniffer you use for Freon and the test kit. It's just a matter of understanding and being educated. Every time somebody tells me that I don't trust electric motors, I'm going, really? Talk to the guy that's a lineman who goes up and works on high tension lines. Talk to the electricians that wire your house at 240 volt, 2-phase, It is a technology we have, we know. It boils back down to what I said probably 30 minutes ago. Energy density of the battery.
Well, not only that, people say, I don't think electric motors are up to the task. Have you seen has anybody seen a diesel locomotive in the last, since the late 50s? That's an electric motor.
Yeah.
That every single one of those wheels on those trucks.
Yeah, the diesel engines in a diesel locomotive is not connected to the wheels.
Nope.
There is no hard connection. The diesels in those locomotives run massive alternators, and those alternators go through switch banks and resistor packs, massive resistor packs, and they drive electric motor wheels. And they pull, over the years, millions of tons of freight all over the place. And the tractive motor effort from an electric motor is exactly what you need in that kind of a slow, heavy, strong pull. Sound familiar for us? So that's kind of the idea there. And before you say it, they've looked at the efficiency of running a gasoline engine through a generator with a battery bank as a surge, and they actually tried a few of those, but the efficiency just wasn't there. You can't really – the diesel locomotive is as efficient as it can get. It would be 100% electric if they could. That's why you have the older – in Europe, you see a lot of what's called pantograph electric trains that have those overhead wires, and the thing rolls along there, and it picks up power from that. Yeah, those are the most efficient. Battery storage, i.e. energy density, just isn't there yet, but we're way closer than we've ever been.
Yeah.
And it's not going to take too many people screwing around with things and realizing, hey, maybe this will work, and we try this. Well, that won't work. Well, let me try it. And lo and behold, just like I told you, the motor issue that Tesla came out with is, folks, if you look back in 2020, the 3-type made this massive jump in range. I think it went from like 200-mile range to 300, and don't quote me on that. That's just a relative discussion point. And everybody's like, what'd you do? What's the batteries? Where'd you put more batteries? They didn't add batteries. They didn't change the controllers much. I mean, some tweaking, but nothing serious. It was in the motor. Somebody figured out how to remove the electromagnetic drag that is inherent in almost all variable speed motors. Yeah. And not 100% of it, but enough that the frickin' thing picked up like 20-some% efficiency. So same thing with you. If you only got a 10-gallon tank in your TJ and your motor sips 30, gives you 30 miles to the gallon rather than, 14,
that's a difference of 150 miles.
Yeah, that's another 150 miles you get out of the same tank of gas. So your range went up, but your tank didn't. Same thing with the batteries. We've got both ends of the equation. Can we make the electric motor less thirsty for electrons? And can we make the batteries bigger tanks? Can we fit the bigger tanks in there in terms of either energy density, kilowatt hours per pound or kilowatt hours per cubic foot? There's both ways to measure them. And if you can get one up and the other down, it doesn't matter. The result is more range.
Yeah.
And just to stretch and tease the mind a little bit, okay, electric motors are much more adaptable. You have a regular motor everybody thinks about that's hanging on the back of their drill press, little round can with a shaft sticking out.
Yeah.
But don't forget things like ceiling fans. Those are called pancake electrics. They're actually high efficiency. There was a time back in the 20s that they experimented with four-wheel drive with 4 electric pancake motors, actually mounted as the hub unit. And it worked really, really well. The battery life just wasn't there.
Yeah.
Well, gee, if I don't have drive shafts and half shafts, what kind of four-wheel drive can I make with 4 pancake motors driving my wheels directly? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a teaser. Just a teaser.
So not all technology is bad.
No, and you can choose to be a naysayer, and I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. That's up to you. You can.
Yeah.
I'm not selling my TJ tomorrow, and I may not sell my TJ, period, till my daughter sells it, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
But, I'm not against new technology. I don't think it's bad, because even in my world, it may trickle over for something that makes the TJ more effective or efficient or more fun. And the very least, I'll get the real cynic's view. When the rest of the world goes electric, that'll leave that much more gasoline for me.
I think that's a good point to pretty much end on. I think kind of like the bumper sticker. Keep driving your hybrid. Saves me more gas for my Jeep.
Yeah, exactly. So, folks, this has been kind of an interesting. Scott said, we need to talk about this. And I said, well, I haven't done my research yet. And he goes, well,
you're smart.
Let's freelance.
Yeah.
I think it's a fun topic. I think it's going to be a subject at the bar for quite a while yet. Till I see the first hybrid electric Jeep at one of my events, and I see it on the pipe pile or getting hammered on the rock pile.
Right.
We'll hold our judgment in abeyance.
Well, that's one of the things I wanted to say, because I think I have his business card right here. Did I? Yes, I did. When I talked to, I should have asked him how to pronounce his name. Anyways, when I spoke to this person, it's like Damiel or something. I don't know. Kevin, you're a wordsmith. What does that say? Yeah,
it's Damien L.
Okay. Anyways, when I asked him, I said, so do you really get 25 miles out of range? He goes, well, I said, okay, when you don't have your foot in it in the yeehaw moments, he goes, yeah, I get a pretty decent range, about as advertised. And they said, because, the wife asked, what was the range you got, Dory? Yeah, 25, or I think he said one max he got on eco mode. He got like 35 or 40.
By the way, folks, he's talking about battery only with the gas engine off.
Well, that was, but no, he got 25 miles. But with the actual hybrid, I think he got like 30 to almost 40.
I thought you said range was 25.
Yeah, 38 miles to the gallon.
Yeah, on hybrid mode. But just running battery, it gave you, about 25 miles of dead range.
Correct.
On E only.
Being nice.
Yeah.
Having his foot in it, I think he got like 10.
Yeah, well, batteries are one of those little indicators that tells you your driving style quickly, because you've got a small reservoir. Imagine your Jeep, Scott, your Gladiator, with let's be generous, a 5-gallon tank.
I don't know if the listeners heard that.
Yeah, I heard it in my head, but he just exploded slightly.
I can do this. I can do this. Okay, ready? How am I driving?
Yeah.
Okay. If I'm driving normal, I'll get to the mailbox.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. No, I'm with a 5-gallon tank. Yeah, I ain't getting far.
But that's the thing we're at right now with the batteries, battery technology. You're in that realm. Your whole driving style, and everybody be like, oh, you don't want gasoline. Look at that stuff. It's you fill the whole tank up and you get, 20 miles or 50 miles or whatever.
I have to say this because when you say, I don't ever forget this. Why is it when you get a full tank of gas, I got gas now, baby, and it's full. You're mashing that thing through the gas. You're just giving it the beans. The minute that fuel light comes on, you're Ethel Merman in the right-hand lane.
Yep.
It's like if you drive a little more like in between, not Ethel Merman, but not Richard Petty. Let's pick somebody in the middle, like Bullet, okay, from like the detective show. Okay. Well,
everything I ever saw Bullet doing, I only saw the chase scenes.
Okay. Starsky and Hutch. Sometimes they kind of just pulled up to the Knight Rider. Guys, I'm
He's
showing my 80s.
Deep here.
Okay. The point being
I
is,
get your reference.
Yeah. We all should drive like the fuel lights on. Oh, I'm out of gas. Do.
Oh, that's it. We'll just take the leads off the check engine light and put it on the fuel light, and so that as soon as you start it, it'll be like low fuel.
Yeah. My mom
Let's
said,
be honest. Every Jeep, even when you leave the pump, is low on fuel.
Exactly. The whole joke my mom said when she taught me how to drive growing up, she goes, drive like there's an egg under the accelerator. Scrambled eggs a night. I'm making omelets.
You know me.
Yeah, I know you.
I'm sorry. I'm always looking for range.
Just so you guys know, Kevin's rotation is his right rear tire over to his left front tire, because the left front tire spends most of the time in the air, while the right rear tire is giving it the beans and wearing out. So he just swaps the two.
Not entirely true, but not entirely false either.
Okay.
It only does it on hard left turns when I'm pulling into traffic. And, if you've lived down in the Florida region here, contrary to popular belief, where everybody's grandma driving in the left lane with their blinker on at 15 miles under the speed limit, there are plenty of parts down here that if you don't come out like you're in the Los Angeles freeway, you're going to get rear-ended.
Kevin drives NASCAR digital style, left hand full on.
Well, that does work when necessary, and and I'll happily say that slightly altered is up to the task.
I was going to say, don't talk about anything about like bending sheet metal, please.
No, it doesn't bend sheet metal. It just picks up that tire.
Exactly.
It's
Takes
the weirdest thing in the world to hear it's not that you feel the tire come off the ground, but when it comes back down, when you straighten out the curve and you hear it scream as it touches down like an aircraft landing.
It's like you're landing a 747 every time.
Everybody goes, "What was that?" Oh, that was my left front or right front tire. With a 6, guys. With a 6.
Until the ram air effect starts happening. That's a whole nother story.
Snorkels have benefits if you know what you're doing with them.
Exactly.
You want boost? We got to get her up to 60 to 88 miles an hour first. No thanks. A TJ at 88. That's a scary thought.
Just remember, the ostrich always needs to face where it's going.
Yeah.
The snorkel end, Dory. Needs to face forward, ram air. Never mind. I got the you're just being stupid with dad jokes again. Look.
Yeah, it is. All right, folks. We said 10 minutes ago.
we should have buried our head in the sand with this one.
Oh, he's back to normal, folks. He's back to normal. We hope you've enjoyed this little discussion on oh God, he's got another.
I have to say it. I'm going to end on this. So as Kevin will say, it's time that we lock the hubs, put the Jeep in 4 low, and hit the trail.
And charge the battery, right?
Right. And remember to take nothing but pictures, memories, and your trash when you leave the trail, because we want to keep these trails open for our children and our children's church. Remember to wheel legal and tread lightly. And I will finish with this last piece of advice, and then I'll turn it over to Kevin so he can do the last final goodbye is, if your phone should autocorrect to the word duck when that's not what you wanted to use, let it roll. Do you want to know why? Because you're still using foul language. And with that, I'm out. Kevin, it's yours.
There's nothing I can add to that. Bye.
Bye.
Proceeding has been provided for entertainment only. Proper service and repair procedures are vital to the safe, reliable operation of all motor vehicles, as well as personal safety of those performing those repairs. Standard safety procedures and precaution, including the use of safety goggles and proper tools and equipment, should be followed at all times to eliminate the possibility of personal injury or improper service which could damage the vehicle or compromise its safety.
What he said. Thanks a lot for listening, guys. You guys have a great day.
Bye.
This has been a Bent Axle Media production.